The burial of a Wampanoag, say, or one of the scores of men who first established Sconset as a 17th-century fishing colony? But the chief of Nantucket's police was clearly weighing other possibilities, like death by violence. And if he had sent his daughter and her favorite assistant, he might even let her investigate it. "Hey, guys," she said casually as she came up to them and laid a hand on Clarence's shoulder. He grunted and heaved himself to his feet, hands on his bent knees for support. "Careful of the scene now, Meredith." She glanced around at the piles of disturbed sand, the torn beach plum, the scattering of small bones, the remains of a cement foundation. Its house, long vanished in January's waves, lay ragged and broken in what had once been a yard. A wilting daffodil, brilliantly yellow against the sodden sand, had been flung down beside a bruised red sand bucket. "Like there's any evidence to preserve, Claire," Mary said tartly. "These are kids we're talking about, right?" Eh?" the crime scene chief said wearily. "And a dog, if you'll believe." The dog's taken a nip or two from a number of these bones. Fairborn, the Nantucket Police's volunteer medical examiner, offered Mary a gnawed gray example. "Look at the damage. Hard to tell what's dog and what's death trauma." "Great. And you're sure they're human?" "Well, the skull's a pretty good indication," Fairborn shot back, and took a drag on the cigarette he kept always lit between the fingers of his right hand. How a doctor could so imperil his health, Mary never understood. But she accepted Fairborn's smoking as a sign that he was somewhat human. The man usually behaved like a stand-in for God. "Any idea how recently they were buried?" "The utter lack of flesh or ligament articulation might be a clue." Ligament articulation. Mary recognized the term from her forensics class. 10 years back now, wasn't it? She just couldn't quite remember what it meant. "Ligaments hold the skeleton together," Fairborn said, with what passed for patience. "These bones lost theirs years ago. They're completely disarticulated, which means, in my view, that they weren't killed last week." "Thanks, Fairborn. You're an immense help. Clarence?" The crime scene chief looked at Mary from brown eyes as large and soulful as a basset hound's, and shook his head. "I've no idea, Meredith. Could have been here for years and the sand just worn away by the tides and whatnot this winter. No telling, really. What we need is a good forensic anthropologist, and I'm not sure we'll find us one of those at the State Crime Lab in Boston. But before we worry about that, Nat here has an awful lot of sifting ahead, don't you, Nat?" The youngest of the numerous coffins raised his brown head and smiled cheerfully. Nat labored over a large mesh sifter Mary suspected was culled from Clarence's beloved garden tools. The crime scene chief, as always, pursued his mission with precision and efficiency. No bone, no matter how disarticulated or long buried in the Sconset sands, would slip from Clarence's grasp. Mary surveyed the area silently, searching for the skull. She found it already bagged in plastic and set off to one side, incongruous and ghoulish, and inevitably sobering. "Alas, poor Yorick," Howie Seitz said as he followed the direction of her eyes. "You never cease to amaze me, Howie. I had no idea you could be a fan of both Kurt Cobain and Shakespeare." "Hey, a poet's a poet, detective," he protested. "Particularly when he's dead." Mary blew out a gusty breath that failed in its object of lifting her sodden bangs, and turned away from them all. The address her father had given her belonged to a house 2 down from the corner of Beach and Codfish Park roads, safe, for the moment, from the ravages of storm and tide. With neat ligustrum hedges by the door and the pale golden facade common to the island's newly shingled. Trellised roses ran the length of the catslide roof, a welcoming light shone in the window. No wonder the kids had come here for help. Mary ran up the crushed quahog shell path to the sheltered doorway, pushed back her hood, and stabbed the bell.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.